Today on Building the Open Metaverse.
Seeing the behemoths of Amazon and Google enable 3D, everyone's going to have to get on board. For footwear and home goods, furniture, electronics. The minute your category is live, you're going to have to do it because your competitor's doing it and it's increasing sales.
Welcome to Building the Open Metaverse, where technology experts discuss how the community is building the open metaverse together. Hosted by Patrick Cozy and Mark Petit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Building the Open Metaverse Season 6, the podcast that showcases the community of artists, developers, researchers, executives, and entrepreneurs who are building the internet of tomorrow. My name is Mark Petit, and my co-host is Patrick Cozy. Hello, Patrick.
Hey, Mark. How's it going?
Good. You've been all around the world recently, yeah?
That I have, but now I'm back in Philadelphia, and it's springtime. It feels like it's summer. People are around the office wearing shorts. And as always, looking forward to today's conversation. I love democratization of 3D. I love enterprise 3D, and I certainly appreciate open standards. And I know we're going to cover all of those today. All right. And joining us today is Ashley Crowder, the passionate co-founder and CEO behind VNTANA, a trailblazing company that's revolutionizing how enterprises leverage 3D and augmented reality. With her vision for immersive technologies, Ashley has pioneered VNTANA's innovative platform that empowers major brands to manage and integrate complex 3D assets across the design, sales, and marketing workflows. Welcome, Ashley.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, and as a champion of open standard, Ashley's leadership has positioned VNTANA as an industry frontrunner, simplifying enterprise adoption of real-time 3D. So today our discussion will explore Ashley's entrepreneurial journey, her insight into the present, and of course, the future impact of 3D and AR across industries.
So Ashley, we've been following you on LinkedIn and social media for a while. I love all the posts that you've been putting out, especially the stuff you did on GLTF and USD. Of course, got my attention. We'd love to kick off the podcast asking folks to just explain your journey to the metaverse, a bit about your background, and what's inspired all your passion around 3D tech and immersive experiences.
My journey was kind of crazy. I'll try and give the short version. So I studied engineering at USC. I went and worked at Northrop Grumman. Wasn't super passionate about that. Then ended up at British Petroleum, an oil refinery for a couple of years. Wasn't my passion either. And I ended up basically having a quarter life crisis. Quit. My friend worked at a nightclub and they needed somebody to run the lights for DJs. So I quit my high paying engineering job and I started programming light shows for DJs at a nightclub. One of the most fun jobs I ever had. And I started trying to research, like, how do we bring these light shows to the next level? How do we create a more immersive experience? I reached back out to my old engineering professors at USC, and they introduced me to ICT, where we had this partnership with the military that funded research in spatial computing. And I was like, why did I not know about this when I was in school? This is incredible. This is going to change the world. This is going to affect everything, how we work, how we play, how we learn. And so I started, just messing around with things. I called my friend Ben and was like, we got to start a company. We've got to build the future of this. And this was 12 years ago. So, phones couldn't do AR, the web couldn't do 3D. So we started doing location-based mixed reality experiences for DJs and brands sponsoring events. And we built a profitable company doing that, working with clients like DJI to Lexus to Adidas, but nobody ever had the right 3D models. DJI mailed us a hard drive from China, which to get us their like 20 gigabyte GAD file. And I called them and I was like, never send this to anyone. I can go make your drone. And it was insane that like mailing a hard drive from China was like the best way to get it to us. And so we started writing software to help automate the optimization, conversion, and management of 3D assets so we could just turn out our own events faster. And then in 2019, we said, you know what? Now every web browser can support 3D content. Everyone's phone now has a pretty decent AR experience. We should take this software we wrote for ourselves and launch it as a platform. And so we started internally kind of figuring out how to do that. And then COVID happened and it shut down our events business overnight. And we're like, well, this has expedited the plan. And so we launched the beta version of our software platform, in March 2020, and, went from there. So where we are today. So now we're, a 3D asset management platform used by clients from Kohler to Aztec Industries to Puma to manage and distribute 3D at scale.
So the female tech entrepreneur, what has been some of the biggest rewarding moment and maybe also some of the challenges that you've experienced so far?
I went over my background. I was an engineer. I worked in defense and then in oil. So it's kind of, I've always been in kind of male dominated fields. And I'm happy about the positive change I've seen, over the past 10 years. It's been amazing to see organizations like AllRaise start to help women raise money because, we're still getting 2 to 4% of all venture capital, which is insane. But what's great about AllRaise is they're also helping get more women partner VCs. And that's the change, right? It's like we need more women success stories. On the entrepreneur side, we need more investment in women, and we also need more women who are funding companies. So it's been really exciting to see that positive change.
So Ashley, you've been involved in AR and VR since the early days, and we wanted to jump into that. But before we do, I have to ask, what was the tech stack for programming the light shows for the DJs?
It was like really, really old school. We had this like touch screen computer. It like broke half the time. It was we had like Q labs going for content. And so then when I reached out to my engineering professors, they're like, Touch Designer had just come out. Like it was brand new. And they're like, you got to look into Touch Designer. And I was like, I can't just like learn this overnight. So then I started, just trying to get in touch with engineers at the school who were learning it. And again, went down a very big rabbit hole. And it's like, I need to hire people smarter than me. And I can, I'll know enough to hire the right people and then run the business side at this point.
Good advice for scaling.
Yeah.
So on the AR VR front, as you've seen this emerge over time and then kind of as you look forward, I mean, how do you see it impacting industries beyond, gaming and entertainment?
Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing that. So, when we started, we basically started in entertainment, and we very quickly moved to brands. But today, like I actually just got back from a mining conference. So we have clients who build heavy machinery. They design in SolidWorks, Siemens NX, Inventor, you name it. But these engineering files are too big and too heavy to share with clients. Like the sales team doesn't have access to it. The engineering team does, and they're spending hours of time and really cost setting up Teams meetings to have engineers walk through the salespeople what these products look like. They also don't want to share those models because there's too much IP. They don't want to give it away before they sign the deal. And so they're actually using our software. So our automatic optimization can strip out all the internals. So we're stripping out your IP, but we're still giving you that web-based virtual walkthrough. So the sales team is enabled to have that call without an engineer on the call, which is costly. So we're really seeing, any manufacturer who designs and manufactures products is designing in 3D, and they're seeing the use case of being able to leverage those 3D assets on web for sales, marketing, and even internal training,
So you think WebXR and being able to go AR, VR from the web is a viable path, or you need to go native?
Yes, I think it's a viable path. And there's different use cases, right? So in what we're hearing from a lot of these heavy machinery clients is that they need a lightweight web link they can send to somebody to have a quick walkthrough, qualify it. Is this a real potential sale or not before I, get people, fly there, get them in a room and maybe put a headset on them and walk them through. Like our client Aztec is actually arming all their salespeople with headsets. And they're using, we have WebXR built in because it's easy. Like the salesperson can put the headset on, scan the QR code, boom, you see the 3D model. So does the prospect, and you can walk through together. It needs to be easy enough, right? They don't want to have to download an app and figure everything out. But longer term, they're looking at, how do we use AR headsets for improved maintenance training? And that'll be an app, right? So, I bought a $10 million piece of heavy equipment. Something's not working. I'm going to put my headset on. The seller headquarters is going to have somebody with a headset walking me through seeing things in real time. That's going to need to be, an application.
So let's go back about VNTANA. You touched base a bit on it already. So can you give us a high-level overview of what the platform does?
We are a cloud-based 3D asset management platform. So you can easily bulk upload, hundreds or thousands of assets at a time. We built a proprietary cloud infrastructure called Model Ops, made up word, model operations. But basically, we can quickly create custom data pipelines, which is really important for 3D because there are over hundreds of different 3D file types. And depending on the platform you're going to, it's going to need a specific file type as well as file size, texture size. There's all these different requirements depending on where you're going. And so within our model ops infrastructure, we also built our own patented optimization. So we can take a file, automatically reduce the size, reduce the polygon count, change the texture. We have, over 40 different flags. So we can basically convert that asset to meet whatever specs you're trying to go to, but maintain the fidelity. So we built intelligence into it so you can put in the parameters you need to meet, and it's going to get there or get as close as it can to there without any visual difference. And so, and then it's all built on microservices, so you can upload thousands of assets, all processed at the same time. And so, okay, clients like Kohler, they're uploading thousands of assets at a time, say they need to meet these specs. They quickly go through, maybe 5 of the 1,000 didn't meet the specs they wanted. Okay, they might need to go in and tweak those manually, but we've just automated the rest of their process. And so we also have a viewer, so they're embedding our viewer on their e-com site. We've got the first API access to Amazon, so you can click the button, publish all your 3D over to your Amazon storefronts. We also can publish 3D to your Google search. Amazon seeing a 2x higher conversion rate with 3D. Google is seeing a 6% higher click-through rate with 3D. So we're really just helping enable people to publish 3D at scale and utilize their assets to increase sales.
So isn't that a bit surprising, 2024? And this topic of converting assets, it remains a complex challenge. I mean, I've personally worked on that in every job I had over the past 20 years, including building data smiths at Epic and all of that. So, is there a way that, for example, AI could come and help us solve this problem once and for all? Because I think the reason why it's complex is there's a lot of heuristic. This is not like just decimation technology and straightforward algorithm. There is a lot of diffused knowledge in doing it right. So how do you foresee that? Is it going to remain the strong, a differentiation for your platform? Do you think, can you even improve it using AI, or what's your take on that?
Tens of thousands of 3D assets being uploaded, and we're constantly using that as a way for our algorithm to learn and get better, depending on what you want. We're also looking into AI and how you do that. I'm just like you guys, I'm hopeful that these standards for GLTF and USD are going to help simplify it, and they are, but I think at the end of the day, you still have these big behemoths companies who are making decisions that, it comes down to people. So the good example, I love Amazon. I love working with them. For footwear, to publish 3D on Amazon, the shoe needs to be facing forward. So the toe is forward. Okay, we'll go on any shoe website. Every single shoe image, the shoe is sideways because you want to see the side of the shoe. So, we have tens of thousands of 3D shoe assets on VNTANA, but they're all sideways because that's the way the brand wants them, and that's the way the brand wants to publish them. And Google will accept them that way, but Amazon won't. So we got to turn them. So it's like these minor things, and you know, there's always, unfortunately, I think there's always going to be something like that because it's going to depend on where you're going and we're trying to bring everybody together, but it's impossible to get everybody from Google to Amazon to, Home Depot to agree. For Kohler, Home Depot wants a USD file that's less than 3 megabytes, and Amazon needs a GLB file that's less than 10 megabytes.
Do you still need to create different asset size for various platforms? And did you see a moment where platforms kind of converge on at a level of capabilities that makes this problem go away?
To look at 2D content, right, as a comparison. So 2D images actually deal with the same thing. So you've got companies like Salsify and Cloudinary who manage and convert your 2D images at scale because Amazon also wants a specific 2D image size and file format that's different than Walmart, that's different than, Home Depot. And if you're someone like Kohler, you've got to do that with 10,000 assets. So you need, both companies are doing over 150 million in ARR. They're doing great because it's a serious need. So it's been completely automated, and that's really what we're trying to do for 3D. So I don't think there's never gonna be a day where every retailer, every platform wants the same exact file format and size. But the point of VNTANA is to make that automated at scale. So it's easier.
So Ashley, you've mentioned so many major brands. I mean, look, congrats on the success of your business and thank you for helping advance the democratization of 3D. Were there any other brands that you're working with that you'd like to talk about?
Really excited about this expansion into more of these industrial heavy machinery companies. It's funny. I mean, I told my journey, I'm kind of going back to like the industrial beginnings of my career. But it's been so cool to go from a mining conference. I was at the World of Concrete and the World of Asphalt earlier this year, conferences I have never heard of, it's the entire Las Vegas Convention Center. It is, massive industry, touches all points of our lives. And they've all been designing in 3D for decades. And getting to watch the use cases, seeing Aztec, for example, not just use this for sales, but think about how they're building 3D and AR into their business for revenue generation, for long-term maintenance contracts and plans is, I think, incredibly interesting. And I know, Mark, we talked about just right before we started of, the hype is gone from the metaverse, which is great because it's actually just entering into business as 3D is here and you need it if you're going to be competitive in whatever industry you're in.
So how do your customer measure the success of the deployment of your solution?
Even the brands like Puma, for example, they're all starting with that. How do we increase speed to market and how do we improve our B2B sales first? So it's about getting rid of the need of physical samples. Can they use 3D on the web to sell instead of physically making that shoe and needing to have a showroom? And there's huge cost savings in that. So, we've got a bunch of case studies on our website. One of our clothing brand companies saved about $100,000 per season by reducing samples, replacing with real-time 3D, and that reduced their carbon footprint by about 4 tons per season, which is amazing. So that's kind of like that initial step. And then there's the brands that do sell direct to consumer. They're looking at that lift in e-commerce. So adding 3D to Amazon is showing a 9% lift in sales. And then if you have view in your room or AR try-on, they're seeing a 2x higher conversion rate, which is awesome. So our client Lenbrook, they make PSB speakers and Blue Sound speakers. They went live 3D on Amazon. They're like, yep, we're seeing a lift, which is awesome. So, because Amazon has their averages, but our clients are actually seeing that too. And then Google, I mentioned just having 3D in organic search compared to 2D images is showing a 6% higher conversion rate, which most people get all their traffic from Google. So if you can increase your traffic by 6%, that's massive. And then from the industrial clients, it's really around measuring that. Can I simplify that complex sale can I shorten that sales cycle and reduce the amount of Teams meetings I need with 3 engineers on a call to get this deal closed? Because that's expensive.
I remember we discussed about something that surprised me a while back is, helping mining companies, their knowledge in 3D is relatively limited. So I can see that, or even, consumer products companies. But you told me that you're working with AAA gaming company to create marketing materials from their game content. Can you speak to that?
So we are working with a big, they do AAA games, but they also do movies. And it's like, you're investing millions of dollars in creating this beautiful 3D content for, real-time games, or so many movies are using real-time, Unreal Engine to create movie content, right? It's all kind of the same now, which is amazing. But they're investing millions of dollars in these 3D assets, and then they're hiring outside agencies to recreate 3D models for marketing, which makes no sense. This is what drove me crazy for the past 10 years of wanting to fix. So with VNTANA, we're like, hey, upload these beautiful, amazing 3D models of characters and content from the movie, and instantly deploy and enable your sales and marketing to get all the assets and derivative content they need.
I think it's a very, very powerful testament to the power of the platform. So I wish you luck with that project.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited.
So Ashley, we wanted to move on to one of our favorite topics, which is the importance of open standards. And as you know, Mark and I co-chair a group along with Guido in the Metaverse Standards Forum on 3D asset interoperability. And then, I got involved in GLTF at least 10, maybe 12 years ago. And, I remember going door to door at SIGGRAPH, telling people about it and trying to get people interested. And it's really exciting to see how far GLTF has came in the adoption, especially in the 3D commerce world. So, I'd love to hear from your perspective, why standards are important for your scalable deployments.
Michael Kors is one of our clients, very high-end fashion. Well, that shoe, the color of that shoe needs to be exact. And if I look at the color of that shoe on my computer, it needs to be the same color on your computer. And with real-time 3D, that's incredibly difficult because there's so many factors. And so having a standard for GLB and a standard color spectrum and lighting and is the only way we're going to get there. So we're looking at apples to apples. And even Amazon, if the return rate is insanely high if your images on Amazon, even your 2D images, don't match your real product, right? So now we're adding 3D into the mix, which we know is giving people a better understanding of the product. But if that 3D is different, the color is slightly differing from your images, which are also photoshopped and not necessarily real, and then you get the real product, it's like, how do you match everything on all these different devices as well? So standards are essential to getting us there. GLB for sure is the standard for web. I'm very excited for Open USD as well, though I think it's confused the market a little bit. So some companies and brands who are just getting into real-time 3D, all of a sudden they're like, oh, now it's USD, we should do USD. And I'm like, okay, but why do you want to do USD? Because if you are trying to go to the web, you still need GLB. So it's just, there's still a lot of education that needs to happen.
Yeah, we recently had Ben Conway, our co-founder at the Metaverse Standards Forum, to talk exactly about that. So I think that was very, very enlightening to hear from the users, what it means and, the potential confusion. So, but we're working to make, the round tripping transparent so that hopefully that does not become an issue moving forward. So any other standards that you feel, we mentioned WebXR, I think, and the whole web stack, I think it's an important aspect for 3D. Is there any other need that you see in your ecosystem for standardization?
Yeah, I'm also really happy about the 3D viewer standardization because you have the model, right? But then the viewer affects the lighting and how it looks. And so it was really great to see, the Chronos group push the viewer certification program, which not perfect, but we're getting there. Because again, trying to explain to people who are new in real-time 3D why, they'll take a 3D model from a VNTANA viewer and then they'll drop it in, an open Babylon viewer, and it's like, why does this look different? It's like, okay, well, think about how you would watch something in the sunset, and as the sunset, the color changes of your perspective. Well, that's kind of my best analogy for non-3D people. So viewer standardization is really important. And yeah, going back to USD, I mean, I think, it's just getting started. So I'm excited for standards there because it is going to be an ideal format for certain people. We're working with a few museums who are scanning, art to archive it. And they want USD to be their main file format, which makes sense because they want to include audio and animation and all these different elements of that ancient artifact, which USD is great for. But then they also need to be able to convert to a GLB for web and AR and other things. So I think, having the two groups work together on that conversion standardization will be really important.
Has the Vision Pro had an impact in your world?
But yeah, we got one, and what was really cool was our viewer works out of the box with it. So if you're shopping on Cooler.com or wherever, you can click view an AR within your headset and pull down the sync or whatever. And that was really, really cool to see.
And that's because of the user standard, right?
Yes, because the USD standard and Apple, Apple's always like, we built AR kit and this is our device and everything's just going to work, which is awesome. I was really surprised. I went to the Apple store to do the demo and I pulled up the VNTANA website. It's like, awesome. So I bought it. But it's also just been eye-opening to, I've recorded just a few videos and posted them, and it's been amazing, the response of people being like, oh, wow, this is now possible. And so we're, because of that response, we're also launching WebXR in a few weeks of VNTANA, so you can also do the same thing with a Quest 3 or Magic Leap.
So Ashley, I mean, I think the role of open standards is very clear. Today's reality is there's still a lot of proprietary 3D formats. So I'm curious, like, what's your kind of, product strategy around that? And then as the ecosystem evolves in the future, how do you see things playing out?
We're all about supporting the standards, and because we want people to be able to scale the 3D everywhere. And to do that, you need standards, and we're going to always convert to a certified GLB, certified USD, and it's going to keep changing. That's the one thing you can count on. Everything's going to keep changing. And sometimes that's the harder way, right? Like if you're trying to create some amazing interactive 3D web AR experience, it's easier to build your own proprietary format because then you can do anything to it quicker and faster than if you are working with standard groups and following what's being released. But at the end of the day, we feel that is going to make it the most long-lasting and usable platform moving forward. So yeah, we're constantly pushing a lot of people to do a lot of things because we're not going to move forward until it's within GLB or USD.
Look, I think that's a great approach. So you're producing open standards, and I guess you import proprietary, then convert. Is that right?
Yeah. So if we get a good example, we started with a lot of fashion companies who use programs like Clo and Browseware, who are really built for creating a pattern file to go make clothing. So it's a very odd 3D file that you get, but through our platform, we automatically convert that into a good certified GLB and a standard USD. So we're kind of fixing some weird things to make it meet those standards. And we do that with like a lot of different, anything you upload, our algorithm is going to like try and correct things to do that.
I mean, on that note of, advancing the open standards to meet these new use cases, it's an interesting kind of balance that we walk, where we want to have the robustness and the consistency of the ecosystem, but we also want to advance a standard to meet these new use cases and open up these new industries, but I guess at a pace in which ecosystem can keep up. So what do you think is needed when you're looking at GLTF/GLB and then OpenUSD? What's next?
Yeah, it depends on the industry. I mean, for fashion, we need to figure out fur in real time. It's a really hard problem. But think about how many shoes and clothing have fur or velvet. We're kind of there, but fur is still really difficult. The other is displacement maps. So many fashion companies use displacement maps to get like the logos just right, and you can kind of approximate them with normal maps, but you're not going to fully get there. And so that's a big problem we see kind of with people going from these CLO and browser programs and trying to go to real time. With the more industrial companies, really like, our optimization, we're getting like 20 gigabyte files that we're reducing down to 1 megabyte, which we're solving that problem, but just making it easier to like texture add materials, which, having those standard material libraries, which like, Adobe Substance is awesome. We always point people in that direction. But yeah, it'll be interesting how that space evolves.
As we discussed earlier, there seems to be a great adoption of 3D these days. I mean, a couple of days ago, from this recording date, Walmart announced selling physical products into Roblox. I think it's it was a great moment in commerce. How do you look at those platforms like UEFN or Roblox? I mean, you use your primary platform as the web, but have you considered, are you looking, or do you see demand from brands to integrate your content into platform that comes with an audience?
Yeah, I mean, we do have an Unreal plugin for that reason. So it's incredibly easy to upload assets from Unreal to VNTANA and then pull assets down. And the reason that's really convenient for people is everything's tied to our API. So it's one thing if you're building one experience or publishing to one platform, but if you're publishing to 10 and then that product changes, you want to be able to change it in one place, and then that API automatically pull it into all your different platforms. So we are seeing that request. For something like Roblox is a unique platform, right? Because it's all about the user generated content. And so it's really important. So yes, brand, for runners like Walmart are partnering with like Roblox creators to like, they're giving them an asset, but then they're changing it to fit Roblox, right? So it's kind of this partnership. So I think the forward-thinking brands are open to letting artists change their products, which is really important. But yeah, Roblox is like a unique platform where I think you have, like, you could, as a brand, publish that 3D asset as a base, but then know that, like, in order for it to succeed, the users need to be able to change it and make it their own.
So, and if you look further out, for retail, what do you think are going to be the key and exciting technologies to help retailers?
VNTANA. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because, like, Amazon, Walmart right now, they have huge teams building 3D assets in house. Wayfair did too. Wayfair was building all the 3D assets even for their sellers, which makes no sense to me. Like, do you do all the photography for your sellers? No. You say, hey, if you want to sell on my website, you need to do photography in this way to give me these images. But for some reason, so many retailers were like, we're going to build all the 3D models, which is like insanely expensive, time consuming. And I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. So, Amazon has moved to this, they've moved to, okay, sellers, which makes sense. It's way too big. There's no way they could possibly create all these 3D models. Sellers, you need to submit a 3D model. It needs to meet these standards, just like our 2D content. This is where we're moving forward. And so I'm hopeful that the other big retailers will do that. Best Buy is doing that. They said these are our standards. Right now it's like upload it to a box folder, which is like, not super scalable, but like we're getting there. So, yeah, I think we're going to start to see, just like all the retailers have the 2D content standards to sell on their websites, they're going to have 3D standards. They're going to have a way to either publish via API or, upload to their platform, have a standard QA process. And really at VNTANA, we're doing that at scale for people to meet whatever spec.
So Ashley, as you look out 5 to 10 years, what are you most excited about in terms of 3D innovations?
Seeing the behemoths of Amazon and Google enable 3D and enable it at scale, everyone's going to have to get on board, right? So they're doing it category by category. They're supporting footwear and home goods and furniture, going to be rolling out more electronics. The minute your category is live, you're going to have to do it because your competitor's doing it and it's increasing sales and then they're going to beat you, and so this year seeing that is huge. It's great that Apple finally got in the headset game because it's pushing everyone forward. I think we're going to start seeing that more and more in the workplace because of the value of, people in the field with maintenance and training and sales, which really bring, real dollars to the bottom line of a business. We're going to keep seeing the headsets get smaller and smaller, like we saw phones and computers. It's the same thing. So I'm hopeful at some point it will be those Ray-Ban Meta glasses that can do everything. But maybe in 15 years, I don't know. And then just with everything AI, like I am so excited because the biggest barrier to this entire industry has been the creation of 3D content. And so we can use AI to speed up the creation of 3D and volumetric content. That just opens the floodgates for all the things that you can do. And you will definitely need a 3D asset management platform, and we're here for that. So
have you guys made some testing with novel technologies like Nerves or Gaussian splats? What do you see? Do you have hands-on experience with them?
So we've had a number of AI companies reach out to us because they need a robust database that can have metadata tied to assets to train their ML models. So we've always been very focused. Like we are not an AI company, but we can leverage AI tech to make our platform better. And we can be the platform to help train ML models for an AI company, which has become really interesting. And we have, tens of thousands of 3D models, and you can upload 2D images and auto render things. And, we've built a QA pipeline for ourselves to compare images and compare 3D models. And so all of that can really enable an AI company to train ML faster, which is what we're seeing some of our clients do.
Do you see a potential role in the future for VNTANA in the commerce of digital goods, the purely digital goods?
We're not going to be selling digital goods, but we'll be publishing 3D to Roblox, Walmart, anywhere else that you're going to be buying digital goods, right? I think the buying habits aren't going to change, but the content expectations will. Just like, when the internet first came out, it was like a pamphlet on a website that was awful. Now we have this beautiful UX design and a whole industry around that to get higher conversion and clicks. Well, you can now have volumetric 3D immersive content, and how is that going to change, your website?
So Ashley, longstanding tradition on the podcast, our final question is there a person or organization that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I mean, I really want to give a shout out to Joanna Popper. She, was, leading VR at HP and chief Metaverse officer at CAA, and now it's doing so many things in the space to push the space forward. But also, she's brought, she created a whole XR women's group, almost just by accident. We during COVID, she was like, I'm so bored and I'm opening up my Zoom at 5 p.m. on Fridays. Here's all the great women I know in the space, join and just chat. And this call is still going. 4 years later, we still meet and it's grown, and it's been this amazing group of women in the XR space where we share like our wins, we reach out for help. It's just been an incredible group. And she's just like amazing in how she brings people together and is doing so much in the XR space.
We had her on the show last year, and we say hello to her. She's a ball of energy.
She is a force. It's great.
All right, and that's a wrap then for today's fascinating conversation with Ashley Crowder from VNTANA. Ashley really brought to light how VNTANA, her company, is at the forefront of powering 3D experiences that are transforming the enterprise across fashion, manufacturing, retail, and some other, even entertainment, as we discussed. So, Ashley, we deeply appreciated your insight about today and tomorrow. Your passion for open standard and XR, and long-standing passion for XR, and to democratize those capabilities really shine through. So thank you so much for being with us and sharing with us your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
And of course, a big thank you to our ever-growing audience. You can reach out on our website, on our LinkedIn page, and anywhere on social. Thank you so much, and we'll see you back for another episode of Building the Open Metaverse. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Patrick.